This is episode 309. This week we have something that didn't arrive in the message center, but we all talked about it. Copilot became generally available. What else have we got? Okay, let's go with the stream update there. I think that's quite interesting as a headline. Collaborative notes coming to stream Teams meeting recordings, so nice to see it shifting there too. And some out-of-box new library templates for document libraries. Let's do this. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 309, and there's been plenty of good news. Daniel, you've come back from EduCon in Chicago. How was it?
It was fantastic. Met some of our show watchers and listeners. So hello. It was a great time, and found some new people to watch the show. So welcome, newcomers. Thanks for joining us.
What did you do? How did you incentivize them this time and rope them in?
Well, of course, I just gave them stickers, limited edition stickers. And yeah, they were limited edition, sparkly ones and ones that I call midnight holographic. So yeah, yes, spiffy. So if you come see me at a conference, the next one up is at ESPC. You come see me and you say, "Hey Daniel, do you have any of those limited edition stickers?" Then you can have one, unless I run out. So you better see me on the first day. But had a great time. Loved talking to people about all the new stuff that's coming and some of the stuff that's already there that we weren't even told about. So we'll talk about those today as well. So
that's the best part of being part of a community and social conversations that, there is still value in being on these platforms to talk about stuff learn and hear what's happening. Yeah.
While you're here, everyone. Go ahead.
Do it. No. I was going to have a go and try and do the Daniel. While you're here, you know where to follow us. We're at 365 MCS on all the socials that matter. That's the phrase, isn't it, Daniel?
It is.
All the socials that matter.
That's all of them. Mm-hmm.
And so, like and subscribe. Don't worry about smashing stuff because we're not a violent crowd. We just really enthusiastically want you to follow and comment and engage in those kinds of conversations that we have.
Absolutely. And if you're encouraging your coworkers to stay on top of what's going on, make sure they subscribe too. We greatly appreciate it, but love to see the comments on them videos, and we read every one of them, and would love to engage and start having great conversations. And I think if you are long time watcher, you heard us talking about the M365 Copilot and some things that Microsoft wanted you to get prepared for. We covered that back in episode, I want to say 291. Anyway, go look it up. Maybe it'll be here on the screen. It'll show you which one that was.
Was that like an editor's note?
Yes, that was editor's note.
Okay.
But we have some more information about it, Daryl, don't we? From this week, and
we do,
and some feedback from the community.
Yeah. Well, first of all, everyone was waiting for this big day. Well, I say everyone. A lot of people that were waiting to get early access to Copilot, to start using it, to take advantage of all of these great promotional videos and showing what's possible.
Yeah.
They knew. Many of them knew about at least one of the hurdles, which was you needed to have an E3 and an E5 license for M365 or business standard premium. No, standard. Is there a standard premium? You know what I mean. The business license. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But what they didn't know and wasn't really so well communicated, I think, was the 300 seat minimum and annual commitment, which comes out to a hefty price. What else was there, Daniel, that actually ended up being a barrier?
Well, I think you had to have those enterprise only initially, and then you also couldn't just go into the admin center and buy it. You had to connect through your Microsoft account manager. And that was a bit of a sting, because what if you, as an enterprise, didn't have an account manager? Then what are you supposed to do now? Because I think a lot of people believe that every enterprise customer has an account manager. They might, but they just don't know who they are because they've never dealt with them. Because they've been kind of independent and done their own thing. So I think that was a little bit of a pain point as well.
Yeah. So all up, I think a lot of people disappointed that this general availability date wasn't really generally available. It was enterprise available. And we had some really good thoughts from the community about why that might be the case, and that it is still a learning journey. I mean, some of my own thoughts, Daniel, were that back when we went from Exchange and SharePoint on-prem to the first rounds of Microsoft Office 365 and BPOS and all that, it was quite a journey, wasn't it? But it was based on learning from running these systems in different hosted environments or on your own, environment. And so these services that come out, like Copilot, new ones that have been developed, it's not like it's built off years and years of learning. And Copilot is actually quite a hungry service in terms of power, so much so that it has been talked about in media that Microsoft are investigating, what do they call them, like small-scaled nuclear reactors to start to power some of their, their data centers.
I don't know if that's true. I can't remember where that got. I saw rumors though, and that it may be true. I don't know, but just even the
those
thought
job
of
descriptions that were being announced.
Even if it's just rumors, it points to the fact that it's not just as simple as running some tool on existing servers and calling it a day. It requires additional footprint, and a footprint that's not small. And so, this is, I feel like initially a lot of people thought that this was something that would be easy and light, a light touch that would be required to enable this, but it's just simply not the case. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of power that is needed, both electric power and processing power. And it is not something that, is taken lightly, given obviously with Microsoft's kind of rollout plan here, which is a bit of a pain point, especially I saw some people talking about this could, and we're doing a lot of theoretical talking now, but this could kind of give if this barrier of 300 seats remains, then could it be that organizations that get it might create a gap in performance, in ability to service their customers above those that are smaller, and therefore it increasing the competitive gap and basically forcing smaller companies out. I think it's a little bit dramatic, and I don't think it's going to be that big, but or that that big of a gap. But I think it's just a lot of theory right now until we start using it, and how long will that? What do you think? What do you think about this, Daryl? How long will these requirements remain, or will they always be this way? 300 and have to go through account manager and
that's
all that.
Tough. We've seen services, one near and dear to my heart, which took at least 2 years to come out, and it's only going to become generally available at Microsoft Ignite. So it's definitely almost 2 years. I think it's going to be a case of seeing how it scales, how well it's used, what other things will they need to learn from working with enterprises that do have teams behind them to react to certain things like oversharing and capacity, and what is it going to be like when 1,000 people sign in, I don't know, near the end of the day, and they want to catch up with their email, so they all invoke this command that does a summary for their email, and is there going to be like brownout level kind of surface dips? And
I mean, we see that kind of stuff on the Power BI side, where your content is in this shared capacity, which is basically shared across the sites, and if you refresh a data set that's huge and a bunch of other people do, and you're on the same server, then there is some delay. Well, what happens, same kind of thing here, where, like you said, if you're asking it to do something, does it, instead of it immediately start giving a response like you see in ChatGPT and everything right now, does it go,
it just spins, right?
Come back later, or I'll get back to you in 10 minutes. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of guessing right now, and we really don't know. But it's unfortunately, we're having to do some of that guessing, because guess what? We can't sign up for it in our demo tenants, because we don't have 300 licenses, nor do we have an account. Anyway.
So it's a developing story, and like Daniel said, we don't know, but we're hoping to hear more. And until then, you'll just have to go through the FOMO experience. Daniel, our first message, and we've got a few of these on Teams this week, but what's this one? What's one about with files and how that's changing?
Yeah, Files app is going away, everybody. Too bad, so sad. I'm just kidding. Microsoft Teams Files app updating to OneDrive app experience in Teams. MC687207. This is something that I think is a great thing, and bringing some consistency around file management and file experience, is that they're updating the Files app in Teams with OneDrive experience, and they're not going to rename the app, so you don't have to go through and manage apps. You don't have to add another app and remove it. They're not deprecating and all that. They're just updating the existing one to have a OneDrive experience. One thing I like to see in this message, Daryl, that I'm going to call out later on in several messages, is it actually has a screenshot. So we're actually able to see that what the experience is going to be. It's a very familiar experience as the OneDrive for web. We get the different, not just the landing page, but we also get more views, and the latest features that come to OneDrive will also come to the Files app. Makes sense, right? I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think you don't have to do anything from an admin perspective. You need to do something on the adoption perspective, I believe, right? You need to have making sure that your users know that this is coming and it's going to have a different look, but they should be familiar with OneDrive, hopefully. And you don't have to do anything as an admin and do some adoption updating a little bit, but other than that, I like that. All of the features that are in the Files app and Teams are going to be in this. So, seems like a win-win to me. Win-win.
Definitely. I think for consistency, for sure. What I've enjoyed seeing is even that, what could I call it, like mini OneDrive experience when you go to move and copy files, that it still feels like same structure. You're going in, you're navigating to where you want those files to be, and it all feels quite familiar. So that's really good. I like it.
So targeted release rolling out mid-November 2023, late November ending. Standard release, so everybody else, late November, and expected to be mid-December for the completion of that rollout. So definitely excited. 2 thumbs up. So Daryl, let's have a meeting about the Files app being updated, and let's take some notes and maybe update it later. I don't know.
Yeah, nicely done. Yep.
Sure.
This is Microsoft Stream, an update to Microsoft Stream, but it also is tugging on the collaborative notes feature in Teams meeting recordings, and this is MC686914. I think this is actually a good next progression for accessing those collaborative notes, and just in I guess a quick summary, because it's actually quite a small message, and as Daniel said, it's one of those ones that doesn't have a screenshot, so we would love to see this. What does this look like? But okay, recap. Collaborative notes. It is a feature powered by Microsoft Loop. It's in Microsoft Teams. You can add collaborative notes to your meeting invite before you send it. You can start to use those collaborative notes in a meeting and take notes together in real time. Again, we'll point to a little promo of a video somewhere up here where Daniel and I stepped through and showed you a whole lot about that. And then afterwards, you can use those collaborative notes to catch up on follow-up items and, open them up in Planner and To-Do and see what's assigned to you. Now, that's all great. That deals with the meeting lifecycle, before, during, after. But there's definitely an audience that hadn't been served so well here, in that, okay, I didn't attend the meeting, but I intended to. I'm going to watch the recording now. And as you're watching the recording, wouldn't it be great to be able to watch the recording and see the notes and work with those and even add to them or refine them as you are watching that? So that's what's going to happen. The collaborative notes will be available when you watch the stream video. And great, fantastic. It's that simple. We don't know what it looks like, but I will be very keen to see it in use. And its targeted release, we'll receive it in mid-November, so in about a week or two's time. And standard release will begin rolling out in late January next year.
That's so a bit close. Of a delay in between the targeted and standard. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what that would be. Maybe the more compute power is going to Copilot, so they're just reserving it for now.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. Keeping with Teams, but we want to get classic about it all, Daniel. I feel like I see some hot rods driving down the road, and some
okay
music playing. So
let's
tell me about the classic stuff.
Wow. Classic Teams users will be automatically updated to new teams after March 31st, 2024. MC686187. That's right. They are going to force, Microsoft is going to say, you're using Classic Teams? Well, too bad. At the end of March of next year, you will no longer be able to use Classic Teams. Asterisks, and the asterisk means there's some exceptions, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it will. This is the sunsetting of Classic Teams. This is the kind of Microsoft putting a stake in the sand and saying, no more after this. Daryl, we have talked about this previously about this whole Classic Teams and new teams that. And we have the hypothesis that, and it truly is a hypothesis. It's not necessarily informed, but it's maybe it's that they're going to have things that rely on the new teams, so they want to push people to the new teams so that you can get these new experiences. Or I was thinking that maybe there's some things on the back end, compute power or something that's having to run the different services, and so they'd like to turn those off. I don't know, but they're really wanting you to use the new teams. really, really. So it is going to be pushed out to everyone after March 31st, 2024. There are some exceptions. Education users, they have some information here at the bottom of the message saying, hey, visit this page for more information on how to update to the new teams. Just to kind of give you a little bit of prompting there. But some exceptions to the rules will be Teams rooms and Surface Hub devices. will not be affected by this timeline for some reason. I'm guessing it's because they need to figure out some updates that they're going to push out for the new teams to be able to work on those devices. But also, they don't have new teams working in VDI environments, those virtual desktop and infrastructure environments. So it's not available, so that won't be updated to the new teams, unless they actually get there and have it available and be working there. But they're saying, calling it out right now, that it will not be affected by this timeline. So what do you think, Daryl? Sunsetting of classic teams, it's going away in 5 months or so. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think you're right, Dan. You covered it well. It was that I think there's a lot of things that are going to be coming out to Teams 2.0 that rely on it being 2.0, and that's just keeping things moving forward. Processing power again, and maybe this is the theme for this week's episode. It's actually, we're trying to gather as much of our processing power as possible for Copilot. But yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. I just imagine, I used to be an admin of with a data center and all that, and I could just imagine people going around going, well, I have this much capacity and I need this much to, and they trying to figure out how they're going to, I don't know. That's just in my head what I think is going to happen.
When you drop.
Yeah. So, this, we talked about the date, March 31st, 2024, people. So you need to come up with a plan. If you're using classic teams now to switch to the new teams, it's just the way it is, or they're going to force it on you. So it's better for you to control it and have adoption activities in your organization planned by you rather than planned by Microsoft by just immediately switching things over. So Daryl, if you have a meeting soon about this and you're talking about this, I'd really like to see people in their regular format of their video and in the gallery. Can we do that in Teams?
Well, what you can do is you'll be able to get used to some changes in the new gallery. Gallery being the area where we see people's video feeds appear. So new Teams gallery new gallery in Teams meetings. It's MC686281. The first thing about it, so partway down the message, you'll see a nice bullet list of things, but again, no screenshots. The first one is quite interesting, Daniel. It's we would have like this gallery that would often crop people, and a bit like how you and I mean, the audience doesn't see this now, but we are presented in a 16:9 thing, but we're cropped so that we can both sit side by side in the recording experience. And if you cast your mind, people, not too far back to the last Teams meeting where there was at least sort of 6 to 9 people, you were cropped. Well, the first change is all about maintaining a 16:9 ratio of your video feed. It's going to, you will see you as you would normally see yourself in the preview, and as you get added to a grid, that's where you'll be. That's cool. The next change that Daniel actually found quite interesting, it reminded me that, didn't we do this kind of change in the other direction before? And it is that the audio video mixed gallery, so audio being people that have not turned their camera on and just speak, and maybe their profile photos and maybe their alphabet soup, mixed in with people that have got their video on. What we were seeing for a little while was video being prioritized, and the audio people were bumped to the gallery, but they weren't really that visible unless they were speaking as an active speaker, I think. Yeah. But now that there's going to be a better mix there where, as they're saying, it is more inclusive representation.
Yes.
Meeting rooms will be displayed larger, so that's nice too. They won't just be the same 16:9, and then we're all squinting to try and see the 10 people that are at that elongated table, but they will have a larger proportion of the gallery. That'd be interesting to see, Daniel. Like, imagine having, yeah, like maybe the people are joining from 4 meeting rooms, and then there's a bunch of people that are remote. Will we see like a 16 by 9 take? And I'm thinking grids now.
Yeah, I know.
Four squares across, 4 squares across, the next 2 down, and then a row of 4 people underneath that.
Yeah, I don't know what it'll be. I like the idea. I just don't know how they're going to implement it. In a grid view kind of thing. It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, to be honest, other platforms have done this kind of weird grid view mixed match thing, I think, before that I've seen. So, I think it'll be all right. I think they'll figure it out, or they have figured it out hopefully by now. But just like you said, if especially in a Teams room where someone's in the back, like, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't even see who that person is. So what do you do? Well, what I do is I go and pin them for me, just so I can see who it is, and then so I like this idea. Absolutely.
Your own video, right? So we would normally see a little preview of ourselves, and we can tuck that away sometimes when needed. We're going to be in the gallery alongside everyone else. I like that because in some cases, Daniel, when my preview sits where it does, it sometimes covers over the face of someone that I'm trying to engage with, or content.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good to see. Good to see. And there's a few things that you'll be able to customize to gallery size, so we have a bit more control over that. As an individual, you can prioritize videos for users who want to give higher weight to participants with their video on. You can prioritize video if you want, so given the choice. Anyway, there's quite a few changes there to the gallery experience, and it's about trying to improve our experiences of meetings. So good to see they're continuing to work on that and reevaluate. There's a range of different release dates there. I don't want to read through them all, but just that targeted release, it's December, early December, production in GCC, early January, GCC High, mid-January, DoD, late January. So between now and January, February, it'll all be happening. Daniel, this one's quite interesting. Like, we've had some things coming to the SharePoint experience that have been all about trying to make it easier for us to create content in a templated way. But what's happening here with a new kind of template? Yeah,
this is SharePoint Out-of-the-box Document Library Templates, MC686278. And this is talking about document library templates in that, you could pick templates to create a document library from, but there's also some other stuff here. So I want to talk about that. So first, the 3 templates. So when you go to create a document library, hey, look, a screenshot, everybody. So you can see it. Yes. We can create a blank library, which will, it is basically the same experience for a library that we get now. From an existing library, I'll come back to that in a second, because that's the template. It's talking about template, but it's not really template, because then the 3 templates: media library, invoices, and learning. And this will create a library with some columns for you to give you a head start on utilizing those type of resources in a library. The from existing library allows you to point to a document library that's already on the site and say, I want to basically create another one of those. It doesn't create, and there's a nice bold comment, please note that data will not copy over, only the structure will. So it's not going to copy the files, it'll just create the structure for you. I definitely know some experiences that it would be great to copy those, from an existing library. And so I'm loving that that's a capability. There's also flows that are created that you can have. You could skip them if you want to, but in the media library and invoices templates, it does come with prepackaged flows that you can include if you would like. And I suggest you include it just to test, see what they're like, and see if you want to utilize those. So I think overall, this is good for end users to be able to get started, with going fast, right? Like, hey, I want a document library that's, learning. Maybe this is about, and I think, this is more in the education space, but all organizations has an education component, whether you formalize it or not. So all organizations has, adoption campaigns or learning or whatever. So you could utilize this. However, the negative side to this, not negative, but for those that might be thinking, well, what about all these columns? Can you centrally manage these? No, right? This is kind of enabling you to create a bunch of libraries that have their own columns for this metadata that isn't site columns. This isn't managed metadata at all, right? And so we're going to be creating all these document libraries. Think about if you go and create 5 invoices, document libraries on one site because you want different types of invoices maybe. But one of those columns is going to be customer name or something. Well, wouldn't it be great if all of those customer names was driven by a managed metadata column, which means you can manage it centrally with all your customer names? Well, you're not going to have that. You're going to have to manually set that up if you want to. So just consider that, when you're out there creating a bunch of document libraries with these templates, there's still some setup that might need to be done in a more mature kind of information architecture environment. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, hit us up in the comments or on all the socials that matter at 365MCS, and let's have a conversation about it. So would love to talk to you about that. So rolling out targeted release early November, so I don't know, yesterday-ish. Standard release mid-November. So everybody should be getting it this month. So pretty soon, within a week or two, be getting it. So, it's kind of fun. But with that, some caveats there of remember information architecture, people, please. Speaking of managing files, can I please manage files without the OneDrive sync client, sir, offline?
Why would you want to do that, Daniel? It's built into Windows.
I really don't.
Celebrate that. Lean into it. Sheesh. Offline mode in OneDrive for web. MC686277. There's a trend. There seems to be a trend where we're starting to build more into progressive web apps. And for those who don't know what that is, it's basically the web experience of an application, but presented to you like it's an application on your machine. You can do this with a number of different browsers. I like this site. Install it as an app, please. And Outlook has been at the forefront of this. We are about to get the new Outlook, and a number of us have been using it, where it is very much like working out of Outlook on the web. Well, it looks like the next thing off the rank is going to be OneDrive. That OneDrive, the web app, as we've just seen earlier in the show, it looks great in Teams, and it's consistent in different places as well when we're using it. And I think as part of this story, it is about trying to make that more functional so that you can use it for accessing offline files. How about that? So there was a OneDrive event earlier in the year, and it went through some of these great things that are going to be coming to OneDrive. This was certainly one that they were talking about, and the goal here is that you'll be able to install OneDrive as a progressive web app, which I've actually done experimentally, Daniel. It kind of works quite well. But going further than that if you were to choose, I want to keep this file on my machine so I can access it while I'm offline, you will be able to go to that progressive web app and still access that file, and you can make your changes locally, and when you come back online it'll synchronize back. The big question here though is why? Why would you do that when you've already got a OneDrive client that's built into your operating system, or maybe it's been installed as part of of Office.
Daryl, that's exactly what's on my mind. And I'm sitting here like, why are we even covering this message? Is this even a thing? Because we talk about these messages and we go, is this a thing? Should we talk about this? Why are we talking about this, Daryl? It works on my machine. Why does anybody need to use OneDrive for web in an offline mode?
Well, look, Daniel, I think we talked about this, about being more consistent with that OneDrive experience. And we're making a lot of assumptions here. But hey, this is what we're about. We're about analysis and drawing from all of our years of experience.
That's right.
I've been an M365 expert for 20 years.
Oh, have you?
Impossible, by the way. Impossible. Yeah. But maybe we're going to see some changes, some significant changes to the way that the inbuilt OneDrive app sync client works. That at the moment is very, very Explorer heavy. It's all about, I go to my folders on my local machine and I can, synchronize stuff here and it feels like a drive and I can choose to create shortcuts and all that. I mean, great. That's cool. But I think what we're probably seeing is a story being built out that's great, but I think we can do better. I think we can make even that more consistent so that it's not as tied to Explorer. What do you think about that prediction?
I think maybe that is... I think that could be true. And if you think about also, for instance, another app that is a progressive web app, which is the Microsoft Lists app. And it uses a syncing technology, right, to sync back when you make edits. This idea of having this database basically on your machine that the progressive web app will use when in offline to kind of store the information and then sync it when you're back online. It may present it to be a more consistent experience for not just OneDrive PWA, but could be all the PWAs in the Office, lists and Outlook and everything. I don't know. It most certainly could be that they're just trying to make it be a better experience that's more consistent. And if so, then does that mean we are theorizing that the OneDrive Sync app is going away eventually and would be replaced by this? Because I can see it being a bit confusing. I'm running Windows 11. I have the OneDrive Sync app, and then I'm using this PWA. So is it actually syncing the same file twice and having
I think it would.
And I think it would. And so that's a terrible experience for users. So, and there seems to be some issues with the Sync app on certain OSs that are not named Windows, right?
Well, which ones would those be, Daniel? The Casio calculator?
Yeah, maybe some Linux ones.
Texas Instruments, something.
So Mac OS has a bit of issues sometimes with the OneDrive Sync app, right? So, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Perhaps that's a personal experience. We talked about this, Daniel. It was in confidence. I'm so
sorry.
hurt.
Oh my God.
No, it's all right. I think that could be the story. It's fun to make predictions, but I know that by putting more effort into the progressive web app experience, there's advantages of being able to develop faster, build things in that are all more web powered. What do you need to do to prepare? Evaluate the new functionality and try it out. See if you want to leverage it. But at the moment, it sort of feels like it would be an early adopter thing of people trying it and seeing how might it be helpful. I do it because I quite like the OneDrive web client. I quite like how that works, but I don't know. I don't actually use offline files too much because I'm not offline much.
I use it on my laptop quite a bit when traveling, but
but
if you're not traveling and you're just working, from your desk, from your home or office or whatever, then it may not be that big of a deal. But this is something I think it is for those people who are traveling, or they are going to take their computer on vacation with them and work for some reason. I don't know. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
But things like that. So, yeah.
Standard release. Begin gradually rolling out mid-November, so next week, and expect to be complete January 2024. So it'll be available if you to try it out.
Indeed.
This last one is a bit like our first one, where it isn't a message in the message center, but Daniel, there was a discussion about some changes in SharePoint.
Indeed, and this is something that wasn't in the message center. It is some changes that have been made when it comes to creating SharePoint team sites. So we all know maybe we all don't, but those of us that have been creating SharePoint team sites for the longest time, the homepage is called home.aspx. That's the actual URL of the homepage, and that's in the site pages. Well, now it has been pushed out, and you may not have it yet, but I do in my demo tenant, that is targeted release set. When you go and create a team site and select a template, which is something that's presented to you immediately, let's add a template, then it's going to create a new homepage for you, a new name, and it sticks it in there for you and makes that your homepage. So if you click the standard team, the new page is Collab home.aspx, for instance. There's different names for each one of them. So there's a write-up by Mark Anderson. The D is silent. That's the way I say it in my mind. He labels, like on his side, he's like Mark D, middle initial, Anderson. But anyway, I don't know. I'm going on a tangent there. But I say the D is silent because I never say it. Anyway.
Well, Anderson. Is it Mark Anderson?
No, the D in the middle. Anyway, you're right. Anyway. Okay. He has detailed this. Well, you'll see it there on the screen that he has shown this, and there's a table on the page that describes the page name for the new template, and when you apply the template, the key here I think is just to know that when you apply a new template, yes, it changes things like navigation on the site. It has this new page, absolutely, and it can create new lists or libraries. It can rename things. But here's the thing: you've already got your site set up, maybe, and your home page set up. You apply this template. Now you have a new home page. It's going to have none of the content from your previous home page on it. Right? This is a new template. So if you apply a template, and remember, you can apply a template over a template over a template over a template if you want.
Yep.
Then if you edit a home page, so if you edit collab home.aspx for the standard team, and then you go apply training course, well, none of the content from collab home is going to training home.aspx. So you'll have to, if you want, go in and edit the links and add all those links that you have added over there or whatever. It makes sense when you're adding a new template, you're wanting a new experience. That's the whole point. But just know that that's a little bit of a gotcha, that it's not copying over anything. Now,
it's not taking your content and making it look like the template for you. Okay.
Right. Now, the existing content's still there. It's not deleting anything. And that's something that has been made very clear. The product team and presentations by Kathy Dew and others. Hey, this is not destructive in that it's not deleting your home page. It's still there. So in my scenario I was just describing, you could go back to Collab Home, just type it in, or go into the site contents and get to it, and then copy, recreate side by side onto the new home page. And so it's not deleting it. It's just a little bit, you got to know this. And it's something you tell your users. You add a new template, hey, your home page is getting taken over by that template. So it won't look anything like what you had before. It makes sense in that way, but these new names were they weren't announced. It wasn't put out there. It wasn't in a message center post. And Daryl, I think that's why we wanted to highlight it. Was this could have some impact. It's not just new ones. It's now ones. You go and add one of these templates onto a site, and this is exactly what's going to happen for you.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you, Mark and community, for raising it and letting us know. And
Absolutely.
Worth talking about, for sure. But that was our last non-message from the 365 Message Center show. It has been a longer episode this week because we've had quite a bit to talk about, but hopefully we have entertained and informed you.
Hopefully.
So that you will want to come back and bring a friend.
Bring a friend, people. Let them know about the show and the channel. Have them subscribe. Give us a thumbs up below. We'd greatly appreciate it. But what we would really like to do for you to do also is give us a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about what we talked about or what we didn't talk about. And of course, hit us up on the socials. Thank you very much. Thank you, Daryl, for being my wonderful co-host. You're amazing. Or am I your co-host? I don't know. But it's been amazing. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And until next time, at episode 310, we bid you adieu.
Adieu to you and you and you. Bye.